Would you ever buy a car that would constantly remind you that you don't know how to drive? Toyota had a car that required maximum of driver's attention, and a slightest mistake would be immediately punished. This mid-engine sports car would always remind you about its own special character and check what is the driver capable of. In 1976, Toyota development team presented a design project with the goal of a car which would be enjoyable to drive and provide good fuel economy, but not necessarily a sports car. The company's management was skeptical about this idea. We make solid, reliable and practical cars. Why do we need an unusual mid-engine sports car? We never done this. And finally, decision was made, and a few years later, Toyota's chief development engineer, Akio Yoshida, presented a new design concept, ASX. With this new car, Toyota could enter a new league of sports cars and stand along with the famous car manufacturers. A car with handling that is only available to the vehicles with engines in the middle. It could be a light, reliable, economical and a unique coupe, and after driving it, the experience could be remembered forever. And this is how one of the most conservative Japanese car companies started the creation of Japan's first rear mid-engine sports car, Toyota MR2. Any automotive engineer or designer dreams about building a sports car. It's a passion, it's the goal, it's a special pride. And in this case, the whole team that designed this new sports car were inspired by this new project. The car had four-wheel independent suspension with disc brakes, and that was the only way to achieve good handling and stopping power. Lighter body with good aerodynamics, and most importantly, the engine must be in the middle, like in the most prestigious supercars. This car's conceptual idea stated in its name, MR2, midship runabout two-seater. And at the same time, it's a stylish car, and to achieve this, designers use spectacular technique, the retractable headlights, and the targa body shape with the removable elements of the roof. This looks beautiful even to this day. And of course the trunk is small, but there are two of them, in the front and the back. And in order to give the car proper riding character and to adjust the suspension, Toyota invited specialists from Lotus. And after a few years of hard work, this unusual Toyota was ready. And in 1984 it went on sale. The car attracted a lot of attention, and not only in Japan, because previously the mid-engine layout was used only in expensive cars from luxury brands like Lotus, Ferrari, Lamborghini. Even the engine position not in line like in the most mid-engine sports cars, but transverse like in the legendary Lamborghini Miura. But what are the benefits of the middle transverse mounted engine? It gives an excellent weight distribution along the axis, and that improves braking performance. But the most important is what's called a polar moment of inertia. And here how it works. For example, we take a ladder with paint buckets on the edges, and if you can imagine that you carry this ladder moving quickly, taking turns with such a weight distribution is difficult because the buckets are on the edges interfere with the reaction time and slow down the turn. But if the buckets moved closer to the center, it will turn a lot easier. So in this case, with the car's heaviest parts, the engine and gearbox positioned closer to the center, easier the car goes into the corner. And that's why some of the supercars use the mid-engine layout. And also, in addition to its interesting appearance, MR2 stood out with a small weight of only about a ton. With its 145 horsepower engine, it's accelerated to 100 kilometers an hour, which is 62 miles an hour in just 6.5 seconds. In the US, with such numbers, it could compete with muscle cars like Camaro or Mustang. Also, MR2's fuel consumption was a lot better, which was extremely important as the US market had not completely recovered from the fuel crisis of 1980s. So this car's dynamics, fuel economy, build quality, everything was on the top, and customers liked it. It was already interesting, but even more success came after the new engine was tested. MR2 had the famous 4AGE engine from basically a Toyota Corolla, but AE86 Hachiroku made it legendary. This engine in a small car showed great results, and it's also one of the world's best engines for upgrades, and it's still hard to find any competition equivalent. For example, its upgraded version was used in the Formula Atlantic racing cars, where it produced 240 horsepower with unbelievable 12,000 RPMs, and its turbo versions produced up to 400 horsepower from the same 1.6 liter. Now just imagine what this much power could do to a light MR2. It was rapidly gaining fan base, and Toyota made a decision to prepare the car for the deadly Group B rally, where the supercars like Lancia Delta S4, Peugeot 205 Turbo 16 and Audi Quattro compete. This rally was so popular that even Porsche and Ferrari were getting ready to join, and Toyota was preparing a special version of MR2. The body was based on a space frame with a four-wheel drive and a weight of 750 kilograms, over 750 horsepower, but it was disappointing when the news came in that after numerous accidents with Ford and Lancia, Group P was cancelled, and MR2 rally version never had an opportunity to compete with the world's best cars. Yet on the regular roads, it was a great success. Its mid-engined competitors were either too expensive, like Lotus's Sprint, or they were obviously slow and unreliable, like Fiat X19 or Pontiac Fiero, that was prone to occasional fire. But Toyota MR2 was the car of the year in Japan. It succeeded in Europe and became a real sensation in the United States. But what was missed in the rally, it was fulfilled by its fans. And the second generation did not force a long wait. New MR2 was a little bigger and heavier and also seriously more powerful. Instead of 1.6-liter engine, a new 2-liter engine appeared, and it was naturally aspirated as well as optionally turbocharged. The most powerful turbo engine produced 245 horsepower, and it could reach 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour in just 6.1 seconds. The gearbox could be an automatic, a standard, or manual as an option with locking differential, and the car fans really liked that. New MR2 model positioned as faster and more aggressive, and there was a proof. In 1991, Japanese Best Motoring Car magazine organized a super racing with such legends like Porsche 911 Turbo, Porsche 928 GT, Nissan Skyline GTR, Ferrari Testarossa, Ferrari 348, and of course Toyota MR2. And on the wet track, MR2 showed faster time than Ferrari Testarossa and Ferrari 348, also Mazda RX-7 and Porsche 928 GT. And the speed of MR2 was tested repeatedly in different settings, and everything seemed great. But only one unpleasant feature soon became obvious. MR2 attracted those who wanted to try mid-engined car and its handling, but due to the fact that the car was relatively inexpensive, of around $35,000 or $37,000 in today's money, it could be purchased by the young and inexperienced drivers. The new MR2 was a lot more powerful and faster and even more aggressive in its handling than the previous generation, and this kind of special handling was a complete surprise to the new drivers. It had tendency for an excessive oversteering during fast turns. The car could sharply brake into a skid, and the rear axle was so fast to sleep that for many drivers fixing the situation did not seem possible. And even when they managed to correct the first swing, then the second swing would throw them off the road. For the overwhelming number of most owners, even a little slip ended in an off lane. And it all became so common that one of the European magazines called MR2 the most dangerous car. One of the most important differences of MR2 mid-engine setup is that by pressing or releasing gas pedal, weight distribution on axis changes sharply. So the steering response of the car could change from insufficient to excessive. For example, if you release gas pedal in a sharp turn, it resulted in the lighter rear axle and rear tires lose traction, and that results in a U-turn. Almost all of the mid-engine cars of those years suffered from oversteer, and this effect was even worse without stabilization system and ABS. And that's why in 1993 Toyota was forced to review MR2 suspension and install tires with better grip, and this helped to manage the oversteer. And later company explained that these changes were made for drivers whose reaction was different from Formula 1 drivers, because apparently the professional drivers who tested the car had no problem with oversteering. In 1995, MR2 appeared in racing, but in a very unusual body. Toyota's racing division named SART built this unique supercar to participate in GT racing, and under the hood it has 4-liter V8 engine with 2 turbochargers. So in order to install this engine, the rear part had to be extended, and the aerodynamic racing body kit changed the appearance of the car beyond recognition. And a road legal version of this car was also created. The one and only concept car was stolen right after it was created, and there was no information about the car for 18 years. And only a few years back, the car appeared at an auction, and it is now in Japan in private collection. MR2 is a great tuning project, and that was done many times, especially with the engine. The stock engine is extremely reliable, and it could handle any power, but sometimes even 300 horsepower was not enough for this little car. Some owners replaced the standard 4-cylinder engine with 3.5-liter V6 that normally has 270 horsepower in stock, and by installing compressor, this engine can put out between 350 and 400 horsepower. The third generation of MR2 was no longer built as a coupe or Targa bodies. It was sold only as a convertible version, and that could be replaced with an aftermarket hardtop. Its pop-up headlights were cancelled as dangerous for pedestrians, which was a big disappointment, but the biggest disappointment was the engine. The only one engine was available with 140 horsepower. The reviews of the new MR2 were mixed. Toyota made their own Porsche Boxster, some critics said, but this is exactly what Toyota wanted. So later, everyone agreed that this is the most perfectly built and the best handling MR2. Sure, its dynamic features faded comparing to the previous legends, and tuning came into play as always. So when there was not enough power, they used an old and tested upgrade with the 3.5-liter V6 engine from Camry. This is exactly how a driver from South Africa upgraded his MR2. This turbocharged engine produces 850 horsepower, and this carbon body car is a winner of South African hill climb race. And as always, custom options are MR2's strongest points, and aftermarket options are overwhelming. Engines, suspensions, even Toyota produced its own body kit and a number of parts for this car. Thanks to its mid-engine layout, this is one of the most desired platforms for unique project. There are examples with V8 engine swaps and even electric drive options from Tesla. And finally, in 2007, production of MR2 was discontinued, and a rumored new model was never introduced. And in the modern world of look-alike SUVs and large sedans, it seems that a compact, fast, reliable, and affordable coupe is no longer popular. But for those who really like cars, MR2 is very special. It delivers emotions. That's all I have for you today, guys. Check out my channel for my other videos. But for now, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
The brand new MR2 making its debut here at the Chicago Auto Show. From concept to reality, the MR2 captures the pure driving fun of high-performance sports machines and puts it within the realm of affordability. This 42-seater features the exciting Toyota 16-valve 4-cylinder engine located amidship for optimum handling. The interior is very much a high-performance driving environment. The new from Toyota MR2. It's a world of fun that awaits your command. And those are the brand new, never before seen cars on display at the 1985 Chicago Auto Show.